In the previous video, I showed you how to hook a target to beef using a basic hook method using a HTML page. In this lecture, I want to show you a better way of doing this if you are able to intercept connections. So, as I showed you in the network hacking section, we can inject JavaScript code in the target browser if we are able to become the man in the middle. And since Beef uses JavaScript code to hook targets, we can actually use the exact same method we learned earlier to inject Beef's hook code in every website the target loads. This will allow us to hook targets and keep them hooked without directly communicating with them. So I have Beef already running in here, and like I said, in order to hook targets, we're going to have to inject Beef's JavaScript code into the browser that they load. I already have it downloaded here. And before using this, I'm going to double-click it to modify it. So as you can see, it's actually very simple code. It's going to create a new element in every page, which will load Beef's code, and it'll append this element to the head of the page. So the only thing you need to modify right here is your IP. And you want to replace that with the IP of the Kali machine that is running Beef. As you know, you can do ifconfig to get your IP. I already know what my IP is, so I'm going to put it here, 10.20.14.207. So I'm going to save this, Control S, and quit it, Control Q. Now our JavaScript code is ready, and all we have to do is literally inject it exactly as I showed you before when we injected the simple alert JavaScript code. So all we have to do right now is put the location of this file in the HSTS hijack applet. So I'm going to go to the location where I have the HSTS hijack applet. So what I want to do right now is modify the HSTS hijack.cap file. As you know, if we want to inject a custom JavaScript code, we have to modify the payload in here. And as you can see, it's already injecting a JavaScript code called keylogger.js. So we want to add our custom JavaScript code. So I'm going to add a comma, followed by the location of the file that I want to inject, which, as you know, I have my file in downloads in here, and it's called injectbeef.js. So, first of all, I'm actually going to add a *: to say that I want to inject this file into every page the target loads. And then I'm going to put the full path to my JavaScript file, which is, as I showed you in root, downloads, injectbeef.js. It's as simple as that. I'm going to save it, Control S, and quit, Control Q. And perfect, so that's done, and all we need to do right now is run bettercap to inject this file into every website the target loads. So we're going to run bettercap using the exact same command that we used to use before. We're setting the interface to the interface that's connected to the target network, and I'm giving it a caplet to load, and the caplet that I want to load is this spoof caplet, because as I showed you earlier, this caplet will run an ARP spoofing attack, putting me in the middle of the connection. And perfect, as you can see, the caplet runs with no errors, so right now I should be intercepting connections. And the next thing I want to do is to load the HSTS hijack caplet, so I can bypass HTTPS, partially bypass HSTS, and inject the JavaScript code that we just configured, the code that's in the inject beef JavaScript file. So I'm just going to type HS and press tab to autocomplete. Hit enter, and everything runs with no errors, so that's perfect. Now I should be intercepting all the data that's sent and received by the target. And because we configured bettercap to inject the hook code in every page that loads, we should be able to hook our target to Beef as soon as they load any website. So let's go to the target computer. And it's actually always a good idea to test against normal HTTP pages first, against the simplest case. But I've already tested this before and I know it works, so I'm going to go ahead and test it against a HTTPS page straight away. It's also a good idea to remove the browsing data, but I've already done that. So I'm just going to go to stackoverflow.com. As you can see, the page is loading in normal HTTP, even though it uses HTTPS by default. That means our HSTS hijack is downgrading HTTPS to HTTP, and it should have also injected my inject beef code. So let's go to beef to confirm and see if we hooked the target. And perfect. As you can see, we have a new online browser showing up in here, which we can communicate with and run commands on, as I'm going to show you in the next lectures. So now the beef hook code will be injected in every website the target loads. This will work against HTTP websites, HTTPS websites, and even partially work against HSTS websites. Like I showed you before, if the target goes to the HSTS website through a search engine that only uses normal HTTPS,